I'm the fabulous Josh, and that is my government name. And I am the artistic director of Downtown Pompey, but it's a bit wanky to say that. It's a really interesting process to think about my role within Downtown, because I say sometimes it's project manager, sometimes it's artistic director, and sometimes it's just head wanker, do you know what I mean? So the idea of sticky floors came from, and I talk about this in the show, so me and Mum went on holiday together to Zante. We went to the horrible part of Zante as well, where all the teenagers were running around on quad bikes.
Yeah, I'd got a rebate, and I said, come on, we'll go somewhere. We literally went to the travel agent, said, this is what I've got. There were nightclubs and there were youngsters up and down on quad bikes, and it was very, very loud. So we tended to stay around the pool area quite a lot with my vodka and lemon. And there was a woman there. She said, I recognise that accent. Are you from Portsmouth? Yeah, why? And she said, oh no. She said, I used to come down there. She said, I used to come clubbing down there. And I said, oh, where did you go? And then she sort of laughed. We straight sticky floor, palm trees. You must be a Joanna's girl. And she laughed because it's the embarrassment, because Joanna's had a reputation.
And it was that moment, that interaction that they had, where you can see something that was sort of turned back on, a spark was happening. So you can see that in that idea of sharing that memory, they were able to create connection and community amongst each other, and they ended up having a good old half an hour conversation. And when you talk to people about nightclubbing, of people like around my mum's age, there is something energetic that turns on, because it reminds them of the youth, it reminds them of that fun. And it made me think, okay, well, there's something here. So by giving people that space to highlight their memories and to explore that, and that feeling valid, will help validate and strengthen the relationships between other people in the city. So that's our kind of sociological hope.
Josh asked me to have a meeting after we wrapped our last project and said, do you want to get involved telling stories about people going clubbing in the 80s? And I was like, sure. I mean, I believe anything they do is genius, so I thought I'll give it a go. Then we went on to having these sort of production meetings and deciding how to frame it and how to shape it, and started collecting stories throughout the summer at pop-up markets and at the Portsmouth City Museum. And it was just a wonderful experience getting people to come and talk to us, and realising that people have been missing out on sharing this stuff. To have those unheard stories heard and have those conversations about losing space is something we're still doing now. Obviously, it's been in the news that Prism's going under, which is our main club in Portsmouth. And if we lose that, we've lost another nightclub. So it's still relevant to now. We'd like to tour it at some point, Arts Council if you're watching, and also potentially have an installation at the City Museum talking all about these stories and sharing the materials we've collected.
Normally when we do the show, we're on a really tight budget, and we're scrimping and saving, and I'm trying to make stuff out of pallets and all this sort of stuff, but this is great because I had a bit more money due to the funding, and it was really interesting. I sat down with Mum with a cup of tea and biscuits, and we were literally talking. She was literally just explaining to me the environment as we walk in, the smell, the atmosphere, and just telling me where everything was within the nightclub. So that was a great time actually. And then just sitting down with Josh and working out kind of Josh's vision of what Josh wants. Does Josh want a palm tree, or is Josh going to be the palm tree, and where the DJ is going to be, and all this sort of stuff.
So I think the heart of the show is Josh's story. And honestly, Josh's love for their mum and the love of this working class woman from the 90s and 80s. Like, that's the heart of the show, is that giving these women the kind of celebration and love that they deserve. And that's by far the heart of the show. But the rest of the show, the thing that makes it actually real and like tangible, is all of the incredible people we have on this project. I know that's like the most cliched answer I could have given you, but like, the way Luke and the movement team are so clearly in sync together, they can improvise as a team. It's mind-blowing to watch. But then all of the cab team, like, everyone's gotten so well, and it's been such a collaborative process where we've all pitched ideas and like built the show together. It's made it so that there's not one puzzle piece you could take away without ruining the picture.
I think what has been so eye-opening during this process is the level and the amount of fun that is had. We laugh constantly, and the work is fueled by the laughter and the camaraderie of the whole company. And everybody is so involved in the thought process, the discussions, the checking in after each day. It's a whole cast environment that is not just aided by myself or Josh or the creative team. It is a whole encapsulation of all of us. And I think that has been the most wonderful thing, is bringing these worlds together and actually realizing the process can be a lot of fun, and that then translating into the show. So I'm really excited for people to see the show and hopefully get the sense of fun and laughter that we've had through the whole rehearsal process.
Josh said to me when they initially asked me to do it, they said, oh, I've got this character and she's an alcoholic, you'd be great. And I was like, I don't even fucking drink. So that was the first thing that got me involved with it. I think everyone can relate to this, which is really gorgeous. And I think it's kind of made me look at my work and what I do in a different way now, and almost that like you can bring yourself into your work as well. Like a lot of the stuff I do is like the generic cabaret, me stood in a bar singing all that jazz. Like, and really, what does that do in the bloody world? Whereas this, I've really got to explore like me out of drag, not just me in drag as well.
I think my favourite moment in the show has changed throughout the process, because I think initially, as somebody who like does drag for a very entertainment purpose, I think it was all the dance scenes and the movement pieces together, and particularly the first scene when we're all coming into the club, and like I think it really just like exemplifies the joy and the exuberance of like the nightlife scene, and which is what I'm very familiar to. But as we've gotten further on and the show's actually begun, I really feel like Ghost Town, which is the section where like Jackie gets to have a moment to talk about like her racial hurdles.
If you were black, you actually weren't welcome there.
Has been the piece that most resonates with me, and I most really enjoy, because I don't think I necessarily anticipated, as much as it resonates for me, how much it's going to resonate for other people in the space. And so I know like when after the show that people tell me like, oh, I cried during that bit and stuff, and obviously it makes me feel like I'm doing a really good job too. But I was like, oh, I forget that like even from the moment I began drag, so much of what I've done has been not only because I like to entertain, but it's been like a political catalyst and like emotional processor for me to like be able to convey how I'm feeling, what I feel I need to artistically express.
I think the hardest bit with it is that we got a lot of people telling us their experiences of people of colour, but not the experiences of people of colour, and working out what is actually true in that time and what's actually fair. And there's quite a few bits from the show we made the executive's decision to trim because they just felt like they would cause pain without having anyone to answer to it. That's, I would say, has been probably the hardest bit. I hope people will be able to hear it and have open hearts and aware of those experiences at the time, and that it wasn't the same as theirs, but it doesn't make it less valid.
A lot of people in Portsmouth are naturally quite wary, and we kind of feel like we're trying to do something new where we're working with people to say, come into our space and we want to share that with you. I think there's still a lot of those like prejudices and biases, isn't it? Like, you know, like they might be wary of us as queer practitioners or queer people, and they don't know how to interact with that. But with a level of generosity on both sides, we are able to say, no, like we're not here to berate you. We're not here to tell you that what you've done is awful. You understand that maybe certain things have changed culturally, but like there's a shared experience in there. And for me, it's this idea of the dance floor is a space of pure democracy, right? Where you can be anyone and do anything on I mean, not do anything. I mean, people did in the 80s, but the idea is you can be anyone you want to be on a dance floor. So that level of democracy is shared amongst us all. So that, for me, is the vehicle to create those bridges, hopefully to build those relationships. So we're thinking about, you know, your classic Pompeians who have been here for donkey's years. That's the bridge built between the students. That's bridge built between sort of our queer artists and our practitioners. And understanding that that dance floor is a space where we all belong will hopefully develop that. So whether it's Joanna's, the nightclub, or whether it's these underground spaces that are explored in the show as well, all in any dance floor is that space, you know, and that's really magical. And that's being taken away. It feels like that's being taken away. You know, those people like my mum's age, all those nightclubs are one gone. And even like recently, all the nightclubs in the city are closing down. Like why is that? What's happening there? For me, it's this idea that it's not just pure democracy, but it's cultural expression. Cultural expression leads to the development of communities and mobilisation of spirit. When you've got mobilisation of spirit, you might then start to build something which maybe then has more of a critique on the structures and of the systems that we've got politically. So it's not just about the dance floor, it's about what the dance floor can do to mobilise people to commune with each other.